Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well today. Thank you for tuning in. We are going to explore inequalities further this week. Um, in particular, we're going to connect today's inequalities to one and two step and multiple step equations that we've been working on the last couple of weeks. Um, this is kind of a good example of just adding one extra step to these problems. Um, they're actually very similar, but you'll see a couple of examples of how they can be different. And but the most important thing to keep in mind with inequalities is just like Monday's assignment, these have more than one answer. Okay, that's the difference between a one-step and two-step equation versus an inequality like this. We're looking for all the numbers that we can plug in for W here that'll make the left side less than the right side. So what numbers for W will make this true? So to find this, we can just do a few, well, really just one step, because this is a one-step equation here. So we have W plus 5 is less than or equal to 9. Your first step here is we need to get rid of this plus 5 so that W is by itself. So we subtract this away, but we have to do the same thing to both sides, just like you normally do if this was an equal sign. And so these actually cancel out, leaves you with just W is less than or equal to 4. So now we need to graph this answer on our number line above. So just like in yesterday's assignment, let's start off with 4. So we're going to start off here, and we have to decide, should it be an open or closed circle? Well, it's closed because we have the bar. Right? We're actually including this point, so we're going to fill it in. And then we need to decide which way the arrow should go. Well, the numbers that are less than or equal to 4 are in this direction. So our arrow should go this way. And you'll see if you plug in any of these numbers, it's going to be less than or equal to 9. All right, if we went ahead, let's try, we can plug in 4. 4 plus 5. Okay. Well, we know that 4 plus 5 is 9. 9 is equal to 9, which is allowed since we have this bar. So we know this will work. If we try, let's try 3 out. Well, if you did 3 plus 5, all right, we're just plugging these, trying these solutions out with our variable. 3 plus 5 is 8. We know that's less than 9, so that would work. But if we tried, let's say, like 8, some number over here that's not covered by our graph, well, you're going to see that it won't work. Right, you go ahead, and what if we did 8 plus 5 versus 9. Let me move that down a little bit. There you go. We plugged in 8 for W here. We're trying this one out. And we see that 8 plus 5, we know, is 13. And 13 is not less than 9. So this one won't work. So again, you don't need to do all this. You don't need to test it out, but that's why it does work. So you should go ahead and graph that. So we have 4. We used a closed circle. Make sure you click the arrow here at the end so it's a ray. There you go. So let's do another one. I'll go through it a little quicker. So we have another one-step equation. These should all be one step, really. So we need to get rid of this 7 over here, so we subtract that away. Do it to both sides, just like if there was an equal sign. This leaves us with C is less than 3. There's no bar here, so, and we're comparing it to 3, so we're going to do an open circle at 3, since 3 actually wouldn't work. And then we need to decide which way the arrow should go. Well, our answer is our number's less than 3. So 2 is less than 3, 1 is less than 3, 0 is less than 3. All the numbers in this direction are going to work. -1 is less than 3, -2, and so on. Okay, so this shows every number that'll work for this. So we have an open circle, so you need to click it twice, go in this direction, and that's it. Alright, I'm going to skip ahead to some other ones. Okay, let's take a look at this one. So we have -6 is greater than or equal to 3 times g. So again, it's just a one-step equation. We're multiplying by 3, so to get rid of that, you divide both sides by 3. And this will give us 3g divided by 3 is just g. -6 divided by 3 is -2. So that's our solution. Now we need to graph it. So we're going to start off at -2. We know we need a closed circle since there's a bar. So we're going to fill it in. All right, we're filling it in since we have the bar. Now we need to think about what numbers are less than -2. Which way on the number line? Right, because that's what g is. Numbers less than -2. Less than or equal to -2. We know -2 will work, but also all of these other numbers, because they're all less than that, so they have to work too. So close circle. There you go. All right, let's take a look at this one. So we have p divided by 2 is less than or equal to 2. So another one-step equation. We know that we're dividing by 2 over here. To get rid of that, we multiply by 2 on both sides so that these cancel out. It leaves us with just p on the left. And just p on the left is left. So we have p is less than or equal to 2 times 2, 4. So now you go ahead and graph. You start off at 4. There's a bar here, so we need to fill this in. And then numbers that are less than 4 are in this direction. Right, all these numbers here are less than 4, which we know from this. There you go. Let me see. Here we go. So this is basically the one only difference really with how you solve inequalities versus a normal equation. So there's kind of one golden rule with inequalities. And it's kind of something you just need to memorize. It's easy to forget, but it's very important. I'll show you what I mean. So we have this two-step equation. Again, we want to get w by itself. So this is actually a two-step technically. We need to subtract this away. Subtract 19 away from both sides, which will give us 19 minus 19 is 0. We have negative w on the left. On the right side, we have 15 minus 19. 15 minus 19 is negative 4. Now, this is where the golden rule comes in. So, we have a negative 1 here, right? Negative w, this is really like a negative 1 times w. So to get rid of this negative, all we need to do is multiply both sides, or, well, let's divide both sides by a negative 1. All right, that's what you should have done in last week's IXL. So this will actually, these negative 1s will cancel out. They're going to go away. But there's a golden rule here with inequalities that whenever you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, you have to reverse the inequality. Okay? So that's really the only difference here. So we have w on the left. We need to flip this since we divided both sides by a negative number. So we need to flip this. So we flip it this direction. And then we do negative 4 divided by negative 1 on the right. Well, that's just positive 4. So your answer is actually w is greater than 4. And it has to be greater, 4 won't work. So we start off with 4 on our graph. We don't fill it in because we're not actually counting exactly 4. So we leave it open. And now we need to think about which way the arrow goes. Well, w has to be bigger than 4. Right? Hungry alligator faces the bigger number. W, the numbers that work are numbers that are greater than 4. So they're numbers in this direction. So we have 4. We click it twice so it's open. Click the endpoint so it's array. There you go. I'll do one more like this and then we'll end it for today. So we have 6 is less than or equal to 2 minus d, just like the last problem. Very similar. So again, we want to get rid of this 2 over here, because we want d all by itself. So these cancel out. It's 2 minus 2 is 0. We do the same thing to the other side, just like normal, with normal equations. On the left side, we have 6 minus 2, which is 4. On the right side, well, we had 2 minus 2, which is 0, so this went away, and it leaves us with negative d. Now, we're not trying to find negative d, we want to compare this to positive d. Right? We want d all by itself, and right now we have this negative 1 times d right here. So to get rid of this negative 1, let's divide both sides by negative 1. Right? Negative 1's here, multiplying by d. So we divide both sides by negative 1. And then we have to do the same thing over here. But what else do I need to do? Pause the video and think about it. Welcome back. So you should have said that, well, we just went over this, right? We're dividing both sides by a negative number, and we said whenever we multiply or divide by a negative number with an inequality like this, those are inequalities. Whenever we're using these and we divide both sides by a negative number, you have to flip it. So instead of facing this direction, we're going to have the open mouth facing this direction. So we're going to flip it. On the left side, we'll have 4 divided by negative 1, which is negative 4. On the right side, well, we had negative 1 divided by negative 1, but we know these cancel out since that's equal to 1. So they go away, and that leaves us with just d over here. So d is less than or equal to negative 4. So we're comparing to negative 4. That's where we're going to put our circle. We have a bar here, so we need to fill this circle in. Oops. So we're going to fill it in. There we go. Now we need to decide which direction it should go. Oops, I made a mistake. This should be a negative 4, right? So it should be over here. So we put our circle here, fill it in, since it's a negative 4. And now we need to think about which direction this should go. Well, numbers that are less than negative 4, right? Like negative 5 would be less than negative 4. Well, that's in this direction. So that's the way our graph should go. Okay, close circle, since we have a bar there. We're actually, negative 4 would work, and everything less than it. Okay, so if you plug in negative 5 into this equation, it'll work. Negative 4 will work. Negative 10 will work. Negative 100 will work. But anything bigger won't work. Anything bigger than negative 4. So 0 won't, 10 won't, 5 won't, it doesn't matter. Any number bigger than negative 4 won't solve this. Any number less will, or equal. So that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you guys kind of are getting the hang of this, understanding it. But if you have any issues, remember you can always schedule a live session with me. I'm not available at every time, but I'm willing to, put aside, 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever it takes, to work with you guys if you need it. So don't be afraid to reach out if you're ever getting stuck. Thank you guys. Please take care. Have a good day.